Hey you guys, it's me again, the Infinity Midwife with you. Today I'm going to be sharing with you, I'm going to do two parts to this video. In this first part, we're going to be talking about how my dad um, passed on his feelings of unworthiness through his own experience. And in the next part, I'm going to do my mom's, okay? So take how the stories that I share with you are there not only to be sharing a part of my story that is very personal, but also helping you to figure out where you in your life you've been having or listening to the stories of your mom and dad coming together, how your mom and dad grew up and all these things, and pay attention. Pay attention to the pain, pay attention to what caused them to have a certain pattern to themselves, or for them to always be in sadness or be in grief or complaining a lot. Like, get to the underlying reasons of why do we pick up on those patterns that our parents passed down onto us. You know what I'm saying? So I'll start with the story of my dad. Okay. My dad, he grew up in a big family. First of all, from a polygamous dad. So he had a polygamous dad. His dad married 4 wives, 4 women, and his mom later left him. She left him very early on, like around the age of 7, and so he was at the mercy of the other wives. The other wives had to weren't really nice to him because he was the only one for his mother and his dad. So very early on, he had to, and he was a second in his family as well. He was a second in line in his family, so he had to very early on know how to change diapers, know how to care for his brothers and sisters, his younger siblings, even though he was the only one out of the wedding or the marriage of his dad and his mom. He had to care, he had to be responsible at a very early age. And so he took up at a very early age responsibilities that mothers do usually, because his mom wasn't there to protect him. He was like the Cinderella, in the household, because there wasn't really protection for him. So all the other wives would use him to do the dirty, the dirty dirt, the dirty work, taking care of younger siblings. And now that's how he grew up on, and his dad was very, very disciplined, very strict as well. And so at 18 years old, he lost his dad, but he was very fond of his dad, though. He was very close with his dad. And at 18, he lost his dad. His dad was murdered he was killed right in front of his eyes. So he had carried already, at a very early age, abandonment issues, rejection issues from his mother, and then also having to feel abandoned by his dad that got killed in front of him. He had carried, at that age, at a very young age, at 18 years old, very heavy traumas. Okay. So he felt the need that he had to become successful very, very early on, so that he could carry the responsibilities that was given onto him, that was to pave the way for his siblings, for his younger siblings. And that's what he did. He moved away out of that country. He went on to study. He went on to work really, really hard in mines. And he started opening up the way for his younger siblings, younger family members, to actually make it across the world for better opportunities, better situations. So he was always looked up. He was always looked up to, and he was in a situation where he had other children, he had a wife. But you see, the thing is, my dad was very traditional. Okay. And one of the things that his dad had mentioned was, to always marry a woman that's from your country. Don't go look for, foreigners, right? And so that's a message that, he kept dear to his heart. And he told his first wife, one day I'm going to marry a woman from my country. And because back then there was not a lot of immigrant in that country from our country, so that woman really didn't take him seriously, or I mean, you don't really tell that to the woman with who you have children with. And so that's what happened. He met my mom's, and he left his first family for my mom's, and that created a karmic cycle for him. And so when he met my mom, he really thought like he had found like his dream wife, and everything, and they had 4 children together. But because my mom also was carrying a lot of heavy traumas from her childhood, um, they were clashed. They were clashing a lot because they they had they had their own trauma to deal with that weren't being dealt with, and everything went on so fast. Like, they had 4 kids in 7 years. I don't know about y'all, but having 4 children in 7 years is extremely fast. So there's no really time to get to know another person. There's no real time to build solid foundations. It's very quick, and then the red flags are ignored. So because he wanted to fulfill that dream or that wish that his dad has set for him, to marry someone from his country, he had this expectation that he placed upon himself to make it work, right, with that woman. But that woman, being my mom, she had her own unresolved trauma, and that together, that was like a bomb cocktail. Like, it was a cocktail waiting to be explode, or it was just explosive in terms of the damage or the hurt, the underlying hurt that was there. And so because he had so much expectations, and my mom just was dealing with her own stuff, they clashed. After 7 years, they went their separate ways. Actually, my mom left us to go back to the country. She went back to her country, and my dad stayed with us, 3 girls and a boy. And that was the end of it. But he was heartbroken. He was heartbroken, and unfortunately, there was just too much heartbreaks in his life. First, his mom abandoning him. He felt rejected from a very young age, having to stay with mothers that weren't really nice to him. And then having to see his dad being killed in front of him. So feeling rejected, abandoned, feeling maybe even betrayed by his dad, or so my dad, very early on, he was carrying heavy pain and grief and trauma that was not resolved. And then having to find out after 7 years that the woman that you thought was your everything, she wasn't that at all. Like, she was not that person at all. That broke him. Because he realized that the woman that was actually good to him, maybe that was not from the same background as him, he could not accept that. Well, he was not in a position to accept that back then. But it was too late. It was too late when he came to that realization. And when he found out who my mom's actually was in terms of character, personality, woman, she was not who she pushed so much that she was. Or maybe he had high expectations of marrying a woman from his country, because she was not that at all. She was something else. And when he finally realized that after 7 years in a marriage with her, that shattered his whole life. That was just one more heartbreak that he could not take whatsoever. And that shattered him to his grave, because he was not able, after that 7 years. So when the 7-year mark happened, he separated from my mom's, and he was not able to get back up. He was so heartbroken. He took it so hard that he was emotionally unavailable to us, his children. It was really, really hard for my dad to look at us as as his daughters, and having to give us love, because the person to who he felt like that he was supposed to give and receive love from was not there. She had left. So he carried that all the way to his grave, and so he was not able to get back up from it. He was in a really, really dark place. Although, my dad is a very pious man, religious man, he believed in prayer, and so he prayed every day. That was what maintained him alive. but a lot of his ambitions, a lot of the dreams that he had went with my mom. Like, it went totally sideways. He would he had all these dreams, but it was just not, he was not capable to carry them to fruition, because the like the karma he had created from leaving his first family, that was just too heavy of a burden for him to realize that it was a bad choice, or it was a mistake. And he was not able to get back up from that mistake because there was too many people watching. So he decided to fall back, be humble, allow people to walk all over him, allow people to be in a space, allow people to tell him how he should raise, how he should go about so many things in his life. People started, um, uh, uh, um, you know, throwing shade at him. You know, people started walk. People, when I say people, I'm talking about his actual family, his siblings, people that he had, taken so much effort to bring overseas, over in foreign land. Those same people were turning their backs on him, or were mocking him, or my dad took the exit, the coward way. He felt that he was not able to get back up from the heartbreak. It was really, really hard for him. It was so hard for him. And mind you, like, in those generations, in those times, like, women don't leave. You know what I'm saying? They stay in the marriage and blah blah blah. But that was not my mom's. My mom had other issues, right? She was the one to ghost you, if certain things weren't okay, because she had her own trauma that she was dealing with, right? We're not going to talk about my mom today, but that was just to give you, like, the type of issues that my dad went, the type of trauma that my dad had unresolved, and that had been passed down to us at a certain degree. And I was able to clearly see that, that there was a lot of codependency in the relationship with my mom. There was a lot of toxicity. There was a lot of, my mom was verbally abusive towards my dad. My dad, I feel like he was really in love with her, but it was not reciprocated. It was not reciprocated for my mom. My mom had other plans. You know what I'm saying? She had other things that she wanted to accomplish. And it seems like my mom's was not in love with my dad. Maybe the first pregnancy, like, I'll be talking about that in another video, but there's a lot of things when it comes to traditions. When you're pregnant, you have to marry the person with who you're pregnant with, or whatever have you. So there's a lot of traditions, especially, like, from our background. I'm African. I'm from African descent. I'm not going to say the country, because I still want to keep a little bit of privacy to myself. But there's a lot of things, a lot of traditions, a lot of beliefs that goes into people making choices, deciding for themselves what is best, or what is right, or doing the right thing, that end up taking life out of them. You know what I'm saying? So that was my dad's story briefly. I'll share with you guys. I want to know, what was your relationship with your dad? I know that with my dad, having to witness his separation from my mom's, that was really hard, because he was not available for us emotionally. Physically, he was there. He was doing all the chores. He was cooking for us. He was cleaning the house. He was there until we were able to do it as well. But he was not available emotionally, but he's a very sensitive man, but he was not emotionally available, because he was grieving, and that grieving took a lot of him. It took a lot from him. And so he was not able to fully be emotionally available to his daughters, nor to his son, like maybe, he would have been if he was in a healthy relationship. Like, I saw pictures of my dad with his other children, and it was really happy. He was really smiling all the time. He like, you could feel the energy that he was really dedicated to his children, to his wife, to his family. But then when you look at the pictures that he was taking with us, it was a man that was hiding his sadness, hiding his grief, hiding the fact that he was deceived, hiding his heartbreak. Like, it was not the same flow of energy that you could compare from different pictures. He was more in a state of martyrdom in his second, in the second, environment, family environment, than compared to the first one. So this is what I had to share with you guys. Y'all can reflect over this. In the next video, I'll be talking about my mom's. What were the underlying traumas or feelings of unworthiness that have been passed down to her children. Okay? Take care, you guys. Love, 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 love. And also, don't forget to take care of yourself. It's extremely important in this time. Okay? Take care, y'all.